Hello guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Hit the bell icon button so that you don't miss out any tutorial.
In this project we're going to be building a photo gallery with Laravel. So we're going to have albums that we can create with a cover image, and if we click on one of those albums it'll take us to a listing of all the photos along with the title, and if we go ahead and click on the image it'll take us to an individual page for that image along with a delete button. Alright, so let's go ahead and create an album. So I'm going to call this black and white. We'll just say photos that are black and white, and let's choose a cover image. We'll grab this chess image here and submit, and now we have that album. Okay, you can see we get a success message. Now if I click on that, we can go ahead and click the upload button, and let's just call this BW1, and we'll say sample image. We'll choose the file, this one here, submit, and now we have an image uploaded to that album. Alright, and notice we're not using Bootstrap, we're actually using Foundation, which is another front-end framework. So that's it, let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and get started on our project. So I'm going to open up Commander. Okay, and obviously you can use whatever command line tool you want. Alright, and we're going to go to, let's see, now with Commander, if you want to go up a folder, you can just do Control-Alt-U, which is really cool. So we're going to go up to the C drive, and then into xampp/htdocs. Alright, and from here we're going to run composer create project Laravel/Laravel, and then we'll name it. I'm going to call it, let's call it Photo Show. Alright, so that'll go ahead and create that. Now we need to set up our vhosts and our host file like we do with every project. So let's go to XAMPP and then Apache. If you're not using XAMPP, go to wherever your Apache folder is, and we're going to go to conf and then extra and open up vhost.conf. Alright, and I'm going to open that with Notepad. Alright, so down at the bottom here, this is actually a brand new virtual host file, so I'm going to copy that. Get rid of these comments right here, and then all we need in here is the server name and the document root. Alright, you want to uncomment those. Okay, and then for the document root, it's just going to be htdocs for this first one. Sorry about that. And then the server name is going to be localhost. Alright, so we want to keep that one there, and then we're going to copy this. And then this one is going to be htdocs/photoshow/public. Alright, and then for the server name, we just want that to be, let's say, photoshow.dev. Alright, and we'll save this and close it up. And now what we want to do is open up Notepad as administrator. So I'm just going to go down here and type in Notepad. Okay, and we're just going to run as administrator. And then we want to open the host file, so go to open. And on Windows it's going to be in the C drive, Windows System 32, and then drivers, etc. And then we want to select all files and open up hosts. And then from here we're going to put in 127.0.0.1, which is your local host. And then we also want 127.0.0.1, and then the server name, which is going to be photoshow.dev. Alright, and we'll save that. So now that that's all set, we just need to restart Apache. So I'm going to open up my XAMPP panel. Say yes. Alright, and then we just want to stop Apache and then start it back up. Okay, and then that's all set. So now we should be able to go to what was it, photoshow.dev, and there's our application. So let's go ahead and open up Atom. And then we're just going to add that folder, which is in, let's see, it's going to be in our htdocs and Photoshop. Alright, so now we're ready to get started. So what I usually like to do first is create the controllers, and we're basically going to have an albums controller and a photos controller. So let's go to Commander here, and we're going to CD into Photoshop. Alright, and let's do PHP artisan, and then we want to make a controller, and this is going to be called albums controller. Alright, and then we'll do the same thing for the photos controller. Okay, and now if we look in our app folder and then HTTP controllers, you'll see we have those two files. Oops, why is that so small? Alright, so they're just basically empty classes. So now what we want to do is create the models and also the database tables through migrations. So let's go back here and say PHP artisan, and we're going to do make model, and this is going to be for album, and then I'm going to add -m to create the migration. Alright, and then we're going to do the same thing once that's done. Alright, so now let's do make model, and this one's going to be photo. Alright, so now we want to edit those two migration files. So we'll go to database, migrations, and let's first go to the albums table. And by default, we're just going to get the ID and some timestamps. We want to add a couple things here. Alright, so the album will have a name. So let's say table string, and it's going to have a name. Alright, and then it's also going to have a description for the album, and for that I'm going to use the text type and then change this to description. Alright, and then it's also going to have a cover image, so this is going to be a string as well. It's just going to be the file name, and we'll say cover underscore image. Alright, and that should do it. So we'll save that, and then let's go and open the photos table. And for this we're going to have an integer field for the album ID, because we're going to create a relationship between the two tables. Alright, so table integer, and let's say album underscore ID. Okay, and then we're going to do table, let's do table string, and this is going to be photo, so this will be the name of the photo. Alright, the file name actually, not just the name. And then let's also do a title for the photo, which will also be a string. Okay, and I also want the size, because that's pretty easy to get, so we might as well store that as well. Size, and then let's also do description. Alright, and that's going to be a short field, so we'll just keep string. And that should do it. Let's save it. And now we need to run these migrations, but before we do that, we first need to add our database info and actually create our database. So let's go to localhost/phpMyAdmin. And let's see, we're going to create a new database, and let's call this Photoshow. And let's go over here and add in our parameters. So the database is Photoshow. The username for me is going to be root, and then the password, make sure you use your own password. Alright, now like with all of the other applications we've built, we have to go and add that value in the provider to stop us from getting that error about the length. So we need to go to providers and app service provider, And let's see, we need to bring in the schema package. So let's say use illuminate and /support /facades/schema. Alright, and then we want to go into the boot function here and just say schema, and then default string length 191. And when you're watching this, you might not have to do this anymore. So now let's go to Commander, and we're going to run php artisan migrate. Alright, so it looks good. Let's go back to phpMyAdmin and go to our database, and you'll see we have a where is it, albums, with all the fields that we added, and then we have photos with all of these fields. Alright, so now that that's all set, our database tables are there and we're connected, and we're going to, in the next video, start to work on our views and layout and all that, and then we'll get to uploading images. Alright guys, so we have our models and controller files set up, we have our database tables, so we're going to start to work on the layout of the application. So let's open up the albums controller, and the index of the albums is actually going to be our home page. Alright, so let's create a function here called index. Alright, and then we're going to return a view, and here let's say albums.index. Alright, now we're going to be fetching the albums from the database and passing them in here, but for now we're just going to load the view. Alright, and then let's see, let's also create a create function. And we're going to return a view from albums.create. Alright, so let's go ahead and make those views. So if we go to resources, views, let's create a folder here called albums, and inside albums we're going to have a file called what are we going to call this, create.blade.php. Okay, and then we also need the index one, so let's say index.blade.php. Okay, now for the moment let's just go in here and say album index, and then here we'll say create album, and we're going to create routes, so we need to go to our routes folder and then web.php. And right now we have the slash going, it's just loading a welcome view. We don't want that. What we want is for the slash to load from the albums controller the index method. Alright, and then let's see, I also want slash albums to go to that as well, so we'll just do that. And then for the create, let's paste that in, and this will be slash create, and that's going to go to the create function. Alright, so let's test those out. So if we reload the page, we get album index. If we go to slash albums slash create, oh, we need to put that here, albums slash create. And now it loads that view. Good. So that's what we want. Now we're going to start to build the upload form in a minute, but I want to create a layout first that we can extend, that our views can extend. So in the views folder, let's create a new folder called layouts, and let's create a file called app.blade.php, and let's put some basic HTML in here. Title, we'll just say photo show. Now I actually want to use Foundation for the front-end framework. We've been using Bootstrap, but I want to use Foundation, and I'm just going to use the CDN. So let's search for Foundation CDN. And we want to grab the complete CSS, which is right here. So I'm going to just copy that. and then let's put in our link tag and just point to that file. Alright, and then in the body we're going to create a div, and Foundation doesn't use a container class, they use a row class, which kind of does the same thing, pushes it all to the middle. And then in here we want to do a yield, and we want to yield the content. So this is where the view will be displayed. So let's save that, and then we'll go to albums index, and from here we're going to want to extend the layout. So let's get rid of that, and let's do extends, and it's in the layouts folder, and then app. Alright, and then we also want the content section. Okay, and then in here let's put in H3, and we'll just say create album. Alright, so now if we go to Photoshop dev / albums / create, let's see, why is it not, is it using, oh, I actually put it in the wrong file. That's in the index file. Let's copy that, put it in the create, and then in the index we'll do the same thing, but let's just say albums. Alright, so now Foundation is kicked in. Now we're going to use Laravel Collective, which is what we've been doing for forms, and we're going to create a couple form components like we've done in past projects. So let's go to our terminal here, and we're going to set up Laravel Collective with Composer. So we just need to do Composer require, and then we want to do Laravel Collective /HTML, and then we want a colon and then some more quotes, and in here we're going to say we want version 5.4.0. Alright, so let's go ahead and run that. And I'm just going to open up the documentation page because there's a couple things we need to add. We'll go to HTML and forms, and then we're going to have to add this stuff. So let's copy that and go to our app service provider and go down to providers. I'm sorry, that's not right. We want to go to the config file, which is config and then app.php, and then go down to the providers, which are right here, and just add on to that. Okay, and then we want to grab these two things here and put those in the aliases. So right here. Alright, now we're also going to create our own form service provider. So if we go back to Commander, we're going to do PHP artisan space artisan, and then make provider, and let's call this form service provider. Okay, and then we're going to add that to this list of providers right here. Okay, so we'll do app / providers / form service provider class. Alright, and let's see. Let's save this, and then we have to create that or go to that file, which is going to be in providers and then form service provider. And then what we want to do is we want to say we want to use form, and then go down to the boot and create or register the components that we're going to want to use. So for that, we're going to take that form object that we just brought in, and we're going to do component. Okay, and this is going to be this for the text component, text field. We're just going to call it text, and then the location is going to be in the views folder, and then in a folder called components, Alright, components, and then a folder called form, and then a file called text, which will be textblade.php. Alright, and then we're going to put in an array here, and this will be able to take a name, a value, okay, and the value by default I'm going to set to null. Alright, and then after that we're going to want our attributes. Okay, we want this to be able to take in attributes, which is going to be an array, and we're going to set it to an empty array by default. Alright, so that's for the text component, and now what I'll do is just copy this, and I'll paste this in a few more times. So we're also going to have a text area component. You know what, let me just let me wrap this. So I'm going to just go to view, toggle soft wrap, and that way you guys can see everything. So this next one here is going to be text area, and same thing here, we'll just change that to text area. It's going to take a name, a value, and attributes. This one here is going to be for the submit. Okay, and that'll go in components form submit, and that's going to, it doesn't need a name, we're just going to put in a value, which by default is going to be just the text submit. Alright, and then attributes, and then this one here is going to be hidden. Change this to hidden, and that's going to take name, value, and attributes, and then this last one here is going to be for the file itself. Alright, so we'll change that to file, and that's going to take in just the name and attributes, not the value. Alright, and that should do it. So let's save it, and we can now close that up. And we need to go to our views folder now, which is in resources, and we want to create a folder here called components. Okay, and then we're going to have a folder called form, and this is where we'll create the view files for our components. So let's start out with text.blade.php. Now we're not using Bootstrap, so we want to make sure we use we don't use Bootstrap classes because it's not needed. If you look at the foundation documentation for text inputs, they put the label and the input within label tags. So that's what we're doing here. Alright, so let's do form label, and this is using Laravel collective syntax, and then we'll pass in the name. Alright, and then right under that, let's do form text, and that'll take in name, value, and attributes. Okay, so we'll save that, and then I'm going to just copy this, and then we're going to create another component field in here. So let's say new, and then call this text area.blade.php, and we'll paste this in. So we're going to have a label here, and then this is going to be form text area. Okay, and that's going to take in name, value, and attributes. Save that. Okay, next we'll do the submit. So let's say new file, submit.blade.php, and let's just put a div in here, no class. And then to generate the submit button, we can say form submit, and then that's going to take in the value, which by default will be the text submit, and then the attributes. Alright, we'll save that, close that up. Now let's do the hidden field. So we'll say new file hidden.blade.php. Okay, and we'll just do form hidden, and pass in name, value, and attributes. Okay, and finally we have the file template or component. So let's say new file, and we'll call this file.blade.php. and let's just do form file and then pass in the name. Alright, now I'm just actually going to just wrap this in a div. Alright, and we'll save that. So now we have all of our component view files here. So we can use these inside of our form now. So let's go back to the form, which is in albums and then create blade. And just to save a little time, I'm going to just paste this in. Okay, so we're opening our form open. The action is going to go to albums controller store. It's going to be a post. And since we're using a file, we need to add the enc type attribute and set it to multi-part form data. Okay, just like you would whenever you have any kind of file upload. And then we just put in our text component, which is going to be the album name. We put in this text component, which will be the description. We have the cover image. Actually, you know what? This should be text area. Alright, and then we have the file, which is going to be called cover image, and then the submit, and then we close the form. So let's save that. Let's make sure it actually displays. Hopefully. Oh, store has albums controller store has not been defined, so let's just go to our controller and define that. So public function store, and then that should be passed in an ID. Actually, no, it shouldn't. It should be passed in a request. So let's say request, and then a variable called request. And for now, I'm just going to say return. We'll do that in the next video. So let's reload. Alright, that's still not working. Albums controller, store not defined. Public function store. Albums controller at store. Oh, the route. Let's add the route. So if we go to routes and then web.php, let's go ahead and just copy one of these. And then this is going to be a post request. So we'll do route post to albums / store. I believe. Yeah, albums / store. And then it's going to go to store. Alright, let's save that. There we go. So now we have our form. Alright, so in the next video we're going to add functionality to this. I also want to get a nav bar, or a top bar, which it's called in Foundation, so that we can, go back and forth from the home page to the form and so on. Alright, so thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Alright guys, so we're going to continue on here. We have our create album form here. What I want to do before we work on that is get a navigation up here, and also create our messages include, so that if we have any error messages or anything, they'll be displayed. So in views, let's create a folder called inc, and we're going to create a file here called topbar.blade.php. Okay, because in Foundation it's called a top bar, not a nav bar. So I'm just going to type this out because it's not really that much. So we want a div with the class of top dash bar, and then we're going to put a row class here, and then we're going to do a div with the class of top bar left, and this is basically where the menu is going to go. So let's put in a UL here and also give that a class of menu. And then in here we'll have some LIs. So let's see, we'll do the logo first, or not the logo, but the branding. So I'm going to give this a class of menu text. Okay, and that's going to make it so that it doesn't treat it as a link. And then we'll just put the title of the app, which is Photo Show. Alright, and then let's do the rest of our LIs. Actually, we're only going to have two. This is going to be a link. And this is going to go to /, which will be just the home page. Whoops. Alright, and then we'll just say home. And then the next one is going to be a link to the create page, the albums create page. So we'll say albums /create. Alright, and then right here we'll just say create album. And that should do it. Let's save it, and then we want to include it in our layout. So let's go to layouts and then app.blade.php, and let's see, we're going to put this right under the body tag. So we'll say include, and it's going to be in the ink folder, so ink.topbar. Alright, and then let's put a line break here. And then I want to put inside the row right above the content, we're going to have an include for our messages file. So let's say include, and in here we'll say ink.messages. Alright, we have to create that. So back in the ink folder, let's say new file and messages.blade.php. And what I'm going to do is just paste this in. It's the same stuff we've been using for this file. Basically, we're going to look for an errors variable here. We're going to go through all the errors and deal with each one. And then we're going to wrap a div around the error. And instead of using alert like we were in Bootstrap, we're using callout and then alert, which will make it red. Okay, for success, we're going to use callout and use the success class, which will make it green. And then down here we have errors that we can create, okay, again using alert. So let's go ahead and save that, and then we should be all set. Let's go back to our app here and reload, and we should see the top bar. Good. And now we can go from the home page to the create form. Good. So now what I want to do is go to our albums controller and take care of the store function. Actually, let's test it out and just return 1, 2, 3, and then we'll go ahead, we'll go ahead and submit this form. Just choose anything, it doesn't matter, it's not going to do anything. And then we get 1, 2, 3. So we know that this is going to the store function. So first thing we'll do is we'll do some validation. So let's say this validate, and let's pass in that request. Okay, and then the second parameter will be an array of rules. So we'll say the name field is going to be required. Alright, and then the cover image. Okay, the cover image has to be an image, so that's actually a rule that we can choose. And then I'm going to set a max here of 1999. Now, the reason I did this is because when you're using Apache and PHP, there's a config option for the max upload size that you can do through a browser. And oftentimes, if you're using shared hosting, from my experience, it's usually around 2 megabytes, which is 2,000 kilobytes. So that's why I set it to this value. Now, if you're using a VPS or a dedicated server, you can go in and you can change to whatever you want. You can also change it if you're using XAMPP like I am. And the way to do that would be to go to, we want to go to XAMPP and then PHP, or if you're using just, if you're not using XAMPP, you still should have a PHP folder as long as it's installed. And then if we go to, let's see, php.ini, which is PHP ini. Okay, so we have PHP ini development and production. Let's just go ahead and open up the production. And let's see, I'll just open it with Notepad, I guess. And then we're going to look for max, I think it's max upload size. Let me see if I can just do this. Okay, so post max size, I believe that no, because I think it's set to 2 megabytes by default. Let's say max underscore upload or up. No, that's not found. Alright, let's search for 2M. Here it is, upload max file size. So if you want your server, if you want people to be able to upload files bigger than this, then you have to change this. Alright, you could change it up to something like 128 or something like that, which should be way more than enough. But yeah, if you want to change it, you can do that here. I'm just gonna leave it at 2 megs. That's fine for what we need. So let's say don't save. Alright. Alright, so let's get back to it. So we're checking, we're doing our validations here. Now getting the file information is a little tricky. Not really tricky, but there's just so many different ways to get certain things. To get the original file name, we can, let's just do a return here. And we're going to return request file, and it has the name of cover image. Alright, and then we want to point to get original, get client original file name, or original name. Alright, let's see what that does. So we'll save that, and then I have a bunch of images that I'm going to use to upload. Let's see. So right here, photos, we got these images. I'm just going to grab this animal one photo just to kind of test this out. Whoops. Choose file, and we'll go to photos, animal one, and let's submit. No such file. No such file or directory. Alright, you know what? Oh, forgot the hyphen right there. We missed that. Let's reload, and now you can see we get the image name. Now this is fine if you want to take the actual name and just use that. If we go to albums and you want to use that as your cover image name, that's okay. But if that person or someone else uploads an image with the same name, you might run into some issues. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of dissect this, and we're going to take the name without the extension, and then we're going to append onto it an underscore and then the current timestamp, and then put the extension back on. That way you know that it's going to be a unique file name. Alright, so there's some things we need to do that. So first of all, we're getting the original name with this, so we're going to put that into a variable, and we're going to call that variable file name with ext, with extension. Alright, so we have that stored, and then what we want to do is take the file name off of the extension, so we just get the file name. So let's go ahead and create another variable here, and we'll just call this file name. And we can do this by running it through a PHP function called path_info. Alright, so it's going to take 2 parameters. The first is going to be the file name with the extension, and the second one is going to be a constant, and that's going to be path_info underscore file name. Alright, let's put some comments here. So get file name with extension, and then this is going to get just the file name. And if we want to test that out, we can just return file name. Alright, and then we'll go back over here and reload, and we just get animal 1. So that's the first step. Now what we want to do is we want to get the extension. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a variable here called extension, and we're going to set it to request file cover image, and then there's a function we can call called get client get client original extension. Alright, and then just to test that out, we can return it. Okay, reload, and we get JPEG. Okay, notice there's no dot, we'll have to put that in there ourselves. So let's put a comment here, we'll just say get extension. Okay, so now that we have the file name and the extension, let's go ahead and create new file name. So we'll call this variable file name to store, and we're going to set it to first the file name, and then we're going to concatenate onto that an underscore, and then we want the time, so we'll have to concatenate again, and then we're going to put in the time function, which will give us a timestamp. Then we want a dot, okay, because it's going to be file name dot and then the extension. And then right here we can just put the extension. So let's make sure that that's correct. We'll say return file name to store. Reload. And there we go, animal1 underscore the timestamp dot JPEG. So that's what we want to store it as. So let's go back and let's say upload image. And for this we're going to create a variable called path and then set it to request file cover image. Okay, and then we want to say store as, and we want here we want to put the path, which is going to be public / album covers. Okay, and then the next parameter is going to be the file name to store. Alright, and that'll do it. So let's just for now return this. Now the location that this is going to go is in our root, the root of our application. There's a folder called storage, and inside there's a folder called app, and then inside that there's a public folder. So that's what this is going to do, is go into that public folder and look at album covers. If it's not there, it'll actually create it for us. Now we don't want this area, these folders, available to the client, to the user. So we need to create a symlink from here to the public folder, which is the public folder in the root. Now to do that, actually we need to go into the right folder first. htdocs / what is it, photo show, and we're going to say php artisan, and then we want to do storage : link. Alright, I've actually already done it, so I already have the symlink, but that's what it'll do. It'll create a symlink from that public folder to the real public folder. Alright, so go ahead and run that, and then we're just going to go back to our browser, and let's go back here, and we'll just say test. It doesn't matter. We have no database interaction yet. This is simply going to upload the file. Alright, so we'll grab that, click submit. Undefined variable file name to store. Let's see, what's this? 36. Oh, that should be a lowercase n. Alright, let's reload. Okay, so now what it does is it returns the path that it got uploaded to. And if we look over here in the storage folder, you now see this album covers, and we have the image. Alright, now since we created a symlink, if we go up to the regular public folder, you'll see storage, album covers, and you'll see the image. And we can actually access it now if we go to photoshow.dev /storage /album covers, and there's the image. Okay, so now we can include this URL in our application. Alright, so that's how photo uploads work in Laravel 5. So we're going to go ahead and stop here, and in the next video we'll make it so that this album will actually get saved to a database. Alright, I'm actually going to delete from, let's see, from storage, and then down here public album covers. I'm going to delete that. Okay, and it should reflect up in the regular public folder as well, because it's a symlink. Alright, so that's it. I will see you in the next video. Alright, so in the last video we made it so that we could upload images, and we also created a symlink so that the images go to our public folder. Now what we're going to do is add the functionality to create an album and add it to the database. So we have an albums table here. So let's go back to our store function in the albums controller, and we're going to get rid of this return path right here. Alright, and then we're going to do, let's say, create album. Okay, so we're going to create a variable called album and set that equal to new album. All right, actually we haven't created the relationships yet either, so now to be able to use album like this, we just need to bring it in up here. So we'll say use app / album. All right, but I want to add the relationships between the tables, so we do that through the models. So let's go up here to our app folder and open up album. Okay, so this is the model, and this is going to have a relationship with the photos table. So right here, let's go ahead and say public function photos. All right, and then we're going to say return this, meaning this class, and there's a function called has many, which is going to set up a has many relationship. All right, because an album can have has many photos. So we're going to set that up here, and then right here we can just say app / photo. All right, and that will create the relationship for us. Now we should also put in our fillable fields here as a property. So we're just going to say protected fillable, and let's make that an array. And the fields we want in here are name, description, and cover image. All right, so that should be all set for that model. Now let's go to the photo model, and for this we need a belongs to relationship because a photo belongs to an album. All right, so let's first do the fillable field. So protected, and call this fillable, set it to an array, and then the fields we want to be able to fill in the album ID, the description, the photo, title, and size. Let me see, is it file size or size? It's just size. All right, and then let's add the relationship. So right below that, we're going to put in public function album. All right, and then we're just going to return this, and then this is going to be the belongs to method, which sets a belongs to relationship. And in here we want the model that we're setting the relationship with, which is going to be album. All right, and that's all you have to do to be able to create a relationship at the application level. All right, so let's go back down to where we were. So we're creating a new album, and we just want to add our fields. So remember, there's an album name. So album name is going to equal from the request, the input, and then name. All right, so it's getting that from the input field. We want to do the same thing with description. Okay, and then we also want the cover image, so that's going to be album cover image, and we're going to set that equal to the file name to store, which is this right here. All right, and then we're going to save everything, and then we'll do a redirect. So we'll return redirect, and let's go back to /albums, and then we want to say with success, and we want the flash message to just say album created. Alright, so let's go ahead and save that, and then we're going to go to our front end. Make sure you reload this, and let's create an album. We'll say animals, description, we'll just say photos of cool animals, and then we'll choose an image and submit. Okay, we get album created. If we look over here, the image was uploaded. Now let's go to the database and go to albums, and there it is. We have the ID, the name, the description, the cover image. Okay, it's just the image name itself, and the timestamps. All right, so creating albums is all set. So now what we want to do is pass the album and the photos into the index here, so we can loop through the photos in that album. All right, but we haven't added the functionality to actually upload photos to an album. But we can go over to our index, album controllers index, and let's create a variable here called albums, and we're going to set this equal to album. And since we have a relationship with the photos table, we can say with photos and then get. Okay, and then we want to pass that along to this view, so we're just going to do with albums and pass in albums. Alright, we'll save that. So if we go to the index page, which is going to be in our views, where is it? Resources, views, albums, index. And we should be able to loop through the albums. So if we were to do for each, and we can pass in here for each albums as album. And here we could do album name. Alright, let's just try that. Expected end of file. Oops, I forgot the E. Okay, so we get animals. Let's create another album. We'll say black and white. Black and white images. And we'll grab this one here and submit. And now you can see we get the black and white album. So what I want to do is I want to show the cover image along with the title. Alright, and then we can click on that. That'll take us to the actual album page with the photos. Now I want these to be displayed in the grid, which is going to be kind of tough because when you have a grid, you have a div, okay, with the class of row, and then let's say we wanted 3-4 column divs. So we'd have div class, let's say medium 4, and then columns. Alright, so we'd have 3 of these per row because it's a 12 column div. And then when you want to start a new row, you need to have, wrap them in this div class row again. So to loop through these and to have it work like this, we have to add some extra code. We basically have to check to see if it's on the third one. If it is, then the next one should have the row div. Alright, which is a little tough to explain. But what I'll do is I'm going to paste everything in and then just go over it. It's too confusing to try to just type in. Alright, so I'm going to paste it in and go through it. So we have our content section. We're checking to see if there are any albums at all. So we're going to count them, see if it's greater than 0. If we go way down here to this else, this is what is going to happen if there are no albums. It's just going to say no albums to display. Alright, let me make this a little wider for you guys. And I'll also wrap it so you can see everything. Alright. And then inside the if here, we're setting a variable called call count to the total number of albums. We're also setting an iterator as I, and we're setting it to 1 by default. Alright, then we're opening a div for albums, and then our first row. Okay, so remember, all the columns go in a row. So this is where we're looping through the albums. Alright, and then when we loop through, we're going to test to see if I is equal to call count. So if this is equal to this. If it is, then it's going to go ahead and do the the medium 4, which is a 4 column div, and that's going to have a link with the image or an image source, and then a link to the actual album page. Alright, and then we have an H4 with the album name. Now if this isn't equal to that, then it's going to go ahead and do this, and the only difference here is that this block has an end class here, okay, which will correctly align it. Alright, so once we get through that, we're gonna use this modulus right here. We're gonna say if I modulus 3 is equal to 0. So what this is doing is checking for every 3, okay, because we're having 3 4-column divs. If it is the third, then it's going to add in this extra div with the class of row, okay, because only 3 should be in between each row div. Hopefully that makes sense. It kind of sounds to me like I'm not making too much sense, but hopefully you guys can kind of get what I'm saying. All right, I mean, you don't have to do it like this if you wanted to just have the images like down in a straight line or something like that, but I want a nice grid of albums, so this is what the best solution that I could come up with. All right, so that's basically what's going on here. Let's save it and see what we get. All right, so now you can see, even though we only have 2 images here, it's still leaving room for the next element, or the next grid div. All right, so if we create another album, let's see what do I have here. Let's do a city album, and I'll just say photos of cities and submit. There we go. Okay, so the next one we upload should go down here. So that's what this code is allowing us to do. So make sure you copy this exact, or just, you know, copy and paste from the project files. So what we want to do in the next video is take care of, when we click on one of these images, it's going to go to albums / and then the ID. Alright, so we want to have, first of all, a list of all the photos in that album, and also a button to create photos and upload them to that album. Alright, so that's what we'll get into next. Alright guys, in this video we're gonna make it so that we can upload photos to these albums. Alright, so we want to be able to click on one of these and it takes us to the albums page with an upload button and also the listing of photos in that album. So what we'll do here is go to, let's see, we're going to go to our albums controller and go down to, actually we haven't created it yet, but we're going to create a function called show. So let's say public function show. Alright, and then let's see, this is going to have an ID parameter. So let's pass in right here ID. And we're going to want to fetch that album by ID. So let's say album, and we're going to set that to album with photos, and we're going to call get. Alright, I'm sorry, not get. We're going to call find and then pass in the ID. Alright, once we do that, we can load the show view. So let's say return view, and that's going to be albums.show, and then we'll attach with because we want to send along the album. Okay, so let's go ahead and save that, and then we're going to go down to our views, and inside the albums folder we're going to create a new file called show.blade.php. Now in here we're going to have access to both the album info and the photos in that album. So let's first just extend the layout. So that'll be layouts.app, and then we'll have our section. Okay, that'll be content. And inside here, let's put an H1, and this is going to be the album name, which we should have access to. So it'll be album name. Alright, let's try it up to this point. So actually we need to create a route first. So let's go to routes and then web.php, and let's set, just copy this here. Get rid of this. Alright, so it'll be album slash and then the ID, and that's going to go to albums controller show. So let's save that, and then we'll go back and reload, and there's our show view for our animals. If we go and click on black and white, we get that show view. So under the H1 in the view, we're going to put first of all, we're going to put a link to go back. So we'll say a class, and we'll give it a class of button and secondary, which will make it gray, and href will go to slash. Alright, and we'll just say go back. And then under that, we want a button to go to the photos upload or photos create page. So let's say A, we'll give this a class of button, and the href is going to go to slash photos slash create, and then we also want to send along the album ID so that it knows which album to upload to. Just like that. Alright, and then for the text we'll just say upload photo to album. Alright, and then under that we'll just put an HR tag. Let's save that. And there we go. So I'm not going to get to the photos that we're going to list down here just yet. I want to do the form. I want to be able to upload them first. Alright, so if we click this, it'll go to photos slash create slash and then the album ID. So let's go and create a route for that. So we'll go to our web PHP file here, and let's see, we're going to grab this. Okay, and then this is going to go to photos slash create slash ID, which will be the album ID, and then that's going to go to the photos controller, and it's going to go to the create, okay, which is going to take care of showing the form. So let's save that and go to our photos controller. Let's see, photos controller, and let's add the create function. Okay, now this create is going to take in the album ID, which comes from the URL, and then we're going to return a view. Okay, so the view is going to be photos.create, and then we want to pass along with that the album ID, which is going to come from the URL, which comes into that parameter right here. Okay, and we're going to pass that along. So let's save that, and then we'll go to our views, and let's see, we're going to create a new folder in the views called photos, and let's create a new file in there called create.blade.php. Alright, I'm just going to copy what we have in the albums create form because it's very similar. Alright, so we'll say upload photo. Alright, and then let's see, it's going to go to photos controller, and it's going to go to store. We'll keep that, keep this stuff here. Alright, and then it's going to have a title, so we're going to change the name to the title. So photo title, and then we're going to have a description, so we can leave that. We'll change it to photo description, and then we want the album ID, which is going to be a hidden field, and remember we passed it in through the controller right here. Okay, so we're passing it in, so we have access to that. So let's go right here, and we'll say form hidden. Okay, and that's going to be album ID, and we're going to put the value as album underscore ID. Alright, and then for the file, it's not going to be called cover image, it's just going to be called photo. Alright, and then we have the submit. So that should do it. Let's save it, And let's reload this page. Let's see. Photos controller store not defined. We need to add it to the route. Okay, just like we did with this right here. I'm going to copy that. And we're going to say photos/store. Let's see, photos/store, and then that's going to go to the photos controller store. There we go. So now when we submit this, it's going to go to our photos controller and to a store function. So let's create that. Okay, and that's going to have an ID. Actually, no, this isn't going to get an ID. It's going to get a request. And this is going to be very similar to the store in the album. So let's go grab that. Okay, so this is the albums controller store. I'm just going to get everything here. Okay, we'll copy that. And then in the photos controller store, we'll paste that in. Alright, so this is going to be the same, except we want to change name to title. And then we're going to change cover image to photo. Alright, and then down here we're going to do the same stuff. We're going to get the original name, just replace that with photo. Okay, that'll stay the same. We'll replace this. And then it's going to create the file name to store. And then for the path, what we're going to do is first change this to photo. And then to store it, it's going to go into public, and then it's going to go /photos/ and then what I want to do is create a folder with the album ID, because we have access to that. So let's go right here and just concatenate on request input. Remember, this comes in through the hidden input, and then album ID. Alright, so that'll actually be a folder, and then it'll go into there. Alright, and then down here, let's just change this stuff. Let's say photo. Change this comment to upload photo. Okay, we're going to change all of these. And change this to title. That'll come from request input title. Description, we can leave that. This one is going to be photo. And that's going to be the file name to store. And we also have the size. So let's say photo size. And we can get that by saying request file photo, and then we can call get client size. So get client size. Alright. Oh, we also want the album ID. So right here, let's say photo album underscore ID, and with that we can get with this right here, just like that. Okay, that comes from the hidden field. Alright, and then when we're done with that, we're gonna go back to albums and then the album ID. So again, we'll just concatenate that in right here. Alright, and then success, and we'll change this to, let's change this to photo uploaded. Good. Save that. And now let's give it a shot. Alright, so upload, let's go to our animals. We'll say upload, and let's choose a file. We'll grab this monkey here. We'll just call it monkey and say this is an image of a monkey, and submit. Let's see, controller albums not found. Alright, so I don't think we brought in the model to our photos controller. No, we gotta go here and say use app / photo. Like that. Oh, and you know what? Down here we said new album. This should actually be new photo. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's go back and let's try that again. Okay, we'll go ahead and choose that, submit, photo uploaded. So let's check the database first. We'll go to our photos table, and there it is. Okay, it's got the album ID of 1, and let's just make sure it was uploaded. If we go over here and go to our public folder storage, it created a photos folder. It created a folder with the ID, and then it has the image. It actually uploaded twice, but we'll go ahead and actually we'll just leave them just so we don't mess anything up. But that's working. So in the next video, we want to be able to display all those photos down here. Alright guys, so we're able to upload photos to an album. Now we need to display the photos in the album. So we're going to go to our photos controller. Actually, I'm sorry, our albums controller, and go down to the show function down here, and we're grabbing the album, we're passing it in. We actually don't have to do anything else here. So we're going to go to the view then, albums.show. So let's go to views, albums, and then show.blade.php. And we need to loop through all the photos just like we did with the albums. So I'm actually going to just copy from the, let's see, what is it? The albums index file. And let's grab from here. Actually, let's grab the whole thing. Everything that's in the section. And then we'll go to our show.blade and go under this HR and paste that in, and then we just need to change some things up. Now instead of doing this count albums, it's going to be album photos. And the reason we can do this is because we set the relationship between the album and the photo table. Alright, so we're going to check for that. If it's greater than 0, then we're going to go down here and we're going to count album photos. Okay, set I to 1, and let's change this ID to photos. Okay, and then we'll have our div. This is the layout's gonna be the same. We just need to change up the variables. So instead of for each albums, we're gonna do for each album photos, and that's gonna be as photo. All right, and then we're gonna change. Let's see. We're gonna change up the link. It's going to go to photos / and then photo ID. Okay, because the photos themselves will also have an individual page. And then for the image, it's going to be at storage / and remember we did photos, and then we did / the album ID. So we're going to put that in here. We can get that with photo album _ ID, and we want to put a / right here, and let's see, then this is going to be not album cover image, but it's going to be photo. Oh, I keep doing that. Photo. Okay, let me wrap this text so you can see it all. Alright, and that's going to load that, and then for the alt, let's do photo title. Wow, I do that every time I write photo. Photo title. Okay, and then down here we want that to be photo title as well. Alright, and then this here, I'm just going to copy from this A tag down to the H4, copy it, and then paste that in right here. Alright, and then down here, that's fine, that's fine. Yeah, that looks good, and then we'll just change this to no photos to display if there's no photos. So let's save that and reload, and we get an error. Let's see, show.blade 17 if I equals call count, unexpected arrow. Oh, we don't have the right here, this variable, it doesn't have a $, this one either. So let's do that. There we go. Let's see, the image isn't showing up though. So it's coming from store. Oh, you know what? We're gonna put a / right here, and right here. Okay, there we go. So now any photo we upload here should show up. Let's go ahead and let's add the fox here. I think that's a fox. Submit, and there we go. If we go to city, and let's grab this one and submit. Cool. So we now have a functioning photo gallery. So in the next video, which should be the last video, we're gonna make it so that we can click on a photo and it'll take us to an individual page for that photo, and we also want to add the functionality to be able to delete it. Alright, so that's what we'll be doing in the next video. Alright guys, so we just did the photo listing on the albums page. Now what we want to do is we want to be able to click on a photo and it take us to photo slash and then its ID and show that page. So let's go ahead and create the route. We're going to go to routes and then web.php, and I'm going to add in 2 more routes here. Let's see, I'm going to just copy this and paste that in, and this is going to go to photos slash and then the ID, and it's going to call photos controller and then show. Alright, and then we also want to route for the delete. So let's paste this in, and this is going to go to photos ID, same thing, but it's going to be a delete request. Alright, and then it's going to call photos controller destroy. So let's save that, and that should be all the routes we need to create. Alright, so let's go to our controller now, photos controller, and we want to add a show method. So down here we'll say public function show. Okay, and that's going to get passed in the ID. And then we need to grab the photo, and we can get that by saying photo find, pass in the ID, and then we want to load the view. So the view will be in photos and .show, and then we just want to send along the photo. Okay, that should do it. Let's save it and let's create that view. So we'll go down to our views folder and then photos, and let's say new file show.blade.php. Alright, so this is going to be a pretty simple page. Let's go ahead and extend our layout. Okay, we need our content section. Okay, and in here let's put an H3, and we'll say photo title, and let's just test it out so far. So if we go back and reload and click on one of these, we get the photo title. Alright, and then under that we're going to do the description. Okay, and then let's put a back to gallery link as well. So this is going to go to /albums/ and then we can get the album ID by saying photo album ID. Okay, and we'll say back to gallery. Alright, and then we'll put an HR and then the image. Okay, so the source will be /storage/photos/ and we want the album ID, and then /photo. Alright, and then for the alt we'll just put the title. Alright, so there's the image. Now I'm going to put a couple line breaks, and we want the delete button. Okay, now remember the delete button has to be a form submit button. So we're going to use the Laravel collective here, and let's do our double exclamation and then form open. Okay, in here we have an array. We're going to set action to another array, which is going to be we'll say photos controller. This is going to be where we're submitting it to, and it's going to be to the destroy method. And then we also want to send along the ID. So right here, let's say photo ID. Alright, and then after that array, we'll have another parameter, and we're going to specify the method, which will be post. Alright, why do I have an extra quote? So action goes to that. This shouldn't be here. Alright, and then we'll take, should be 1 at the end here. Alright, so that looks good. We need our double exclamation right here. So that's the opening form. And then we'll do the form close down here. Whoops. Okay. And then inside here we're just going to have the hidden field. So we're going to use the component we created a while ago, the hidden component. And we just want to pass in the name, which will be underscore method. And then the value, which will be delete. Alright, so that's the hidden field. We also want the submit button. So let's say form submit. And the text will just say delete photo. And then we'll have an array with a class. Okay, class will say button and alert, which will make it red. Alright. And then under the delete button, I just want to put an HR and then the size, the file size. And I'm going to put that inside of small tags. So we'll just say size. And we can get that using photo size. Alright, so let's try that. What do we got here? Unexpected colon, expecting comma, 10. Let's see, form open. Let's see, so that ends there. So after the array, comma, method post. Oh, right here for the form hidden, that should have double colon. There we go. So we have the image, we have the size, the delete photo. So last thing we want to do is the destroy method. So let's go to photos controller and create the destroy function here. Method, function, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so with this, it's going to get an ID passed into it. Alright, then we just need to find it. So let's create a variable called photo, set it to the photo model, and then find, and pass in the ID. Okay, so that'll get it for us. And then not only do we want to delete it from the database, but we want to delete it from the file. We want the actual image gone. So to do that, we're going to use the storage library, and that needs to be imported for us to be able to use it. So let's go right here and say use. No, we want to do use illuminate. And then we want support slash facades slash storage. And then down here, we're going to do an if statement, and we'll say if storage delete, and then we need to pass in the path, which is going to be public slash photos slash, and then we want the album ID, so we're going to just concatenate onto this, and we can say photo album underscore ID. Alright, then we want a slash and then the photo itself, which we can get with photo. Alright, so that'll actually delete the file, and then from the database we want to delete it, so we'll just say photo delete. Alright, and then we'll just redirect. So let's say redirect. Actually, we want to return redirect. And we're going to go to slash and then just send a message. Success message. And we'll say photo deleted. Alright, so let's try this out. Monkey, we'll say delete. Go back to animals, and he's gone. Alright, so that's it, guys. We now have a fully functional photo gallery, and like I said, you can implement authentication to this if you want. I would suggest just putting a user ID field inside the album and the photo tables so you know whose is whose. But yeah, so that's how we can get that done. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in the next project.
Hello guys, and welcome to our new project, Photogallary. So here we have albums. We can create a new album, and within the albums we have photos. For example, this is empty. We can upload a new photo. I'm going to upload an example here of London City. And if we click submit, we have the photo here. We can view it, see this description, we can delete it, and now it's empty. We can view other albums as well, we can go back. So this is it. I hope you get prepared and enjoy it, and I see you in the next video. Okay guys, welcome to lecture number 1, controllers, models and database. So let's start by creating a new Laravel project called Photoshop. So let's open a commander and navigate to XAMPP HD docs, and here we're going to create a new Laravel application called Photoshop. Okay, so while this creates the application, let's set up the hosts file. Let's go to the XAMPP Apache conf extra, and let's open the vhosts.conf, and right at the bottom let's copy this and paste it below as we did on the other projects. And here let's just put Photoshop and Photoshop.stg. Let's save it. And now let's open the notepad as an administrator with the right click and run as administrator, and open the hosts file from Windows, which is in C Windows System32 drivers etc. And here we're going to add the same line but with different name. Okay, now let's wait for this to finish. Just a few more seconds, and we're done. So okay, so let's check this out, and let's test the new project. Oh, I think I forgot to start the Apache and the MySQL. Great, now we have our new application. So let's go back to our list, and now we're going to create the albums controller, photos controller, models, migrations, and database. So let's open our project in the Atom. Open folder, Eduonix, Photoshop. Great, now let's close the previous project, and here we are. So let's create a controller, albums controller and photos controller with PHP artisan make controller. So first we navigate to the Photoshop directory, and now PHP artisan make controller, albums controller, and the same for photos. Great, now we have our two controllers. We can check this out, and now let's create the models. Here we have our new controllers, albums and photos. Now for the models, we're going to make them with the M option as always. So in that way we have our migration files. This is it for the album model. And now let's create the photo model. Here you have an album. Let's create a new folder for models, and just put this in that folder and change the namespace. Now let's create the photo model. Okay, here we are, and let's just grab this into the models folder and change the namespace. And we can check this item, because now we have our controllers and our models. Great, so now let's edit the migration files, the albums first. So this is going to have a few fields. So this is going to be table, string, and name. Then table, text, description, and finally table, string, cover image. So here we will have the image for our album. Now let's create edit the photo migration file, which is going to be table and then integer for the album ID, so we can connect the album with the photos. Then we'll have a string for the photo, which is going to be the name of the image that we're going to upload. Then we'll have a string for the photo title, and another one for the size. And finally we'll have a string for the photo description. Okay, great, so this is it. And now let's create the database and run these migration files, right? So let's go ahead to PHP My Admin. Great, now let's create a new database called Photoshop. And now we have to edit the .env file. So in this way Laravel knows the name of our database. So this is going to be Photoshop. And now we're ready to run the migrations. So as always, PHP artisan migrate, and this created all of our tables. Let's check this in PHP admin. Now we have our albums with all of our fields and the photos table as well. So this is it for this lecture. I see you in the next lecture where we are going to see form and views. Thank you very much, guys. Right guys, so in this video we're going to set up our views and routes and of course layouts. So let's begin by running npm install to use Bootstrap. And while this installs, let's go ahead and first check this and then create an index and a create function in the albums controller. So let's navigate to our albums controller and just create a function called index, which is going to return a view which is called index within the albums folder, and another function, create function, which is going to return a create view within the albums controller, right? Great, so now let's check this out and create the routes for all of these methods. So let's navigate to routes web.php file and let's get rid of this. We're not going to use the welcome view. So the main route is going to use the index method of albums controller, and then we'll have /albums as well. So these two routes are redirecting to the same place. Then we have /albums/create, which of course is going to use albums controller at create. And finally we have /albums/store, which is going to use a method that we need to define later, store method. Okay, so let's go ahead and check this item out. And now let's create a layout for our views, and then we can create the views. So let's open resources views and create a new folder here, which is going to be called layouts, as you know, and a new file called app.blade.php. Let's insert the HTML code and let's add a few things. For example, the title, which is going to be Photoshop, and a link to our app CSS sheet, which is in public CSS app.css, which is compiled and minified. So this is going to be app.css. And here we will have a content for each view. Okay, so the run npm install command is now finished. So now we can run npm run watch to compile our assets. And this could take a few seconds. So let's check the create a layout item. And now we just need to create an upload form. Right, so Laravel makes build successfully. And now I have a new folder called albums, and here we'll have our form, the create.blade.php, which is going to return the create method. Now we're going to extend the layout that we just created, and we'll have our content section here. And just to give it a try, let's type h2 create new album. So let's navigate to albums/create, and here we have our title. So this is working correctly. Now we should create a form. So let's go to Bootstrap and let's grab an example form from here. And just paste it in create view. So let's arrange this. And let's just test it. Great, now I have our form, but I think I forgot the container class. Yeah, that's it. So let's add a div with class container, as we are using Bootstrap. And let's wrap the whole content, the whole form. Great, now let's try it out. And now I have our form. So now I have to add the album's fields. Okay, name, description, and cover image. So here I have name. This is going to be a text type input with ID of name. And let's get rid of this. Then you have placeholder, which is going to say enter name. And let's just remove this and add a name attribute, which is going to be name as well. So let's get rid of all of this and just copy and paste the form group class with everything in it. And for the second field, we'll have description. For description and name description, ID description, and the placeholder. And lastly, we have cover image on every attribute as well. Okay, this is going to be a file, not a text. And let's remove the placeholder, and we have an ID of cover image and the name of cover image as well. So let's add the CSRF token for our form to protect it from the cross-site attacks. And I'm going to tap this well as it should be. Now let's go with the form attributes. This is going to be a post form, and we will have an action of album store. So now we're going to name the routes. This is going to store, so I'm going to name this albums store. Okay. And as we are sending a file, we should add another attribute for this form, which is going to be the type, the enc type. This is going to be a multipart form data, and this way the store method can receive a file. So let's try it out. And here we have, for example, album 1 with description, first album, and let's pick a test file, and if we just submit it, we got an error, which is the post method is not support for this route. And this is because, let's check our routes. Yes, you're looking for a post route, not a get. And now we need to define the store method, which is going to receive a request. And let's see what this is receiving. So let's refresh this, and now we have our request. And if you see here in request, not attributes, request parameters, we have our name, description, and in files we have our file, which is cover image, right? So we are getting the data right. Let's check this out, and we're done for now. So I see you in the next video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hello guys, welcome to lecture number 3, cover image upload. So let's begin by adding a navbar. So here in views, let's create a new folder called ink and a new file called navbar.blade.php. And I'm going to open a folder from Laravel and just grab the whole navbar from there. Now we're gonna have it here. So in the layout, maybe. Yes. No. This is another thing. Let's open the to-do project. And yes, here you have our navbar. Great, now let's just paste this here, and we're going to make a few changes. But first let's test it. So let's go to photoshow.stg, and we have index not found. Also, yes, you have to create the index view, which you haven't created on the last lecture. So here in albums, let's create a new file called index.blade.php, and let's just copy the layout and content. So let's include the navbar in our layout. And now we can test it. Great. Now I have our navbar and of course a blank page because we didn't add anything to the index view. And of course we need to edit the navbar. So this is going to be create album, and let's change the route here. Actually, we're going to use the route names. So this is going to be route album create. And we need to name that route here. So it's going to be name album create. And for the active class, let's change this to albums/create. And the home remains the same. So here are our home and our create album form. Okay. Yes. Great. Now our highlight function working well. So we added a navbar. Let's add a messages template. I'm going to do the same thing. So let's add a new file here called messages.blade.php. And I'm going to open the to-do list project as I did before, and I'm going to copy the messages contents and paste it right here. Great. And let's include it in our layout. So this is going to be inc.messages. Now we have our messages template, and we have to program the store method with validation. Remember, we have our form and we need to create validation for our fields. So this is going to be this validate, and we're passing the request and the validation rules. So this is going to be let's say name, which is going to be required. Then we have a description, which is required too. And finally you have our cover image, which is required as well, and is going to be an image. So Laravel provides you this kind of validation. Okay, let's try the validation. And here you have our 3 fields required, and if the file is not an image, it says the cover image must be an image. Okay, great. So let's go back to the store method, and something we need to do is to get the entire file name that we are uploading. So this is very simple with the request. Now we're getting the file with the extension, so let's see what this returns. Let's upload the real photo, and let's just say that here we have cities and cities around the world. Let's submit it. And here we have the full name with the extension, right? Now, let's extract the name of the file with the path info method from PHP. So in this way we're going to get the file name only. You can see it right here. Great. Now I have the name of the image, because what I want to do is to add a timestamp to the name. So now we're going to get the extension. This is going to be request file. You're getting the cover image, and we're using the get client original extension. And in this way you're getting the file extension. Okay. As I was saying, many people can upload the image with the same name, so we are adding to it the timestamp, so there are no repeated names, right? So the file name to store is going to be file name, and here we are going to use the time function with an underscore, and finally the extension. So we split it, the name, added the time, and got together again. So here we have the name of the image, the timestamp, and the extension. Okay, you can see that the time is changing every time we refresh it, because it's counting in seconds. So now it's time to create the actual album. So this is going to be album name, request input name. So we are using the album model. The same for description. And for the cover image field, here we are storing only the name, not the actual image, right? So this is cover image equals to file name to store. There it is. So we are not saving the image. Keep in mind this. We are saving the model with those three fields. Great. Now we need to save the actual image. Now we are going to save the image to the disk, right? To your server disk, in this case to your machine. So this is going to be request file. We're getting the file and we are storing it in public/album covers, and we need another parameter which is going to be file name to store. So this is the name which we are going to use to save the file to the disk, and this method returns a path. So let's see how it goes, what this returns. Let's refresh this, and now we have the full path of our image, right? So if we go here and look in storage app public album covers. Here we have our image. So as we don't want to save the image twice, I'm going to remove this, and actually we're going to save the image, save the model, and return to the home view with a message, of course. So we're going to redirect to /albums with success and the message of album created successfully. Great, let's add a semicolon here. And now we can test the fall method. Click here and refresh, continue, and we have controls album not found. Oh yeah, that's because we need to import or use the app models album. Okay, let's try this again. And we have album created successfully. So now we can check the sitemount out. We've saved the file with timestamp, and now let's create a symlink from storage/public to the public folder with PHP Artisan storage link. So let's navigate to the htdocs folder and Photoshop folder. And the way to create a link is with PHP Artisan storage link. Now we have created a link, and if you go to our folder, now let's get into the public folder, and here we have a storage folder. So in this way the user can access to the public folder and not the storage folder, which could be dangerous. So now I have our album, and this is it for lecture number 3. I hope you enjoyed it, and I see you in the next lecture, guys. Thank you very much. Hey guys, welcome to lecture number 4. In this lecture we're going to display the albums. So let's begin by closing off these folders and by going to our album model. So let's create a relationship between the albums and the photos, right? Because an album has many photos, so this should return a has many app models photo. And the same for the photo. Photo belongs to an album, right? So this should be album method or function, and this should return this belongs to app models album. Great. So now we created a relationship, and let's see play all albums in our home view. So let's go to routes, and we need to use the index method. So here we have our index view for albums, and here we should display all of the albums that we have in our database. So let's go to Bootstrap, and here we're going to search for examples, and for example here I have album, and this is good layout to use. So let's view the source page, and here we have, this is a wider card, it's boring, so this is a wider card, it's boring, so let's grab the whole row with a container and paste it into the content of index. Let's close the container div and the row div. Now we're ready to go, and here we have our thumbnail. So let's have a break here and here. So this way this is not great. Now I have a space between them. And now we need to go to our album controller and just send to the index view the albums. So this is going to be with albums, and we're sending the albums variable, which we're going to create right now. So this is going to be albums equals to album with photos, because we are getting all of the albums photos, and get. We have to show this in the index view. So if we have an album or more than one album, sorry, more than 0 albums, if we don't have albums, we're going to show a message that says no albums yet, and diff. If we actually have albums, we need to show them, right? Great, so this is going to be a for each. Albums as album. We're going to show a call. So this should be one album, right? Great. Now we need to add the real data. I'm going to toggle the soft wrap so you can see everything in it. Great. So I'm getting rid of the SVG, and we're going to add an image tag, and the source of this image would be in storage / album covers, and we need the name of the image, which is in cover image field, remember? So this is going to be double curly braces, album cover image. Let's add an alternative text in case the image doesn't show, and let's remove the text from here, and let's just use the description. So this is going to be album description, and finally you have the small class, which is going to be used for the title, sorry, the name. button, and let's try this out. Okay, this is a huge image. Let's add a height attribute of 200 pixels maybe. Okay, this is way better. Now we have our album with the name and the description. So let's create another album and see if the index works. So I'm going to create a cars album with supercars, and let's just choose the Ferrari for the cover image and submit it. And now we have our two albums, right? Let's create another album called flowers, and we have types of flowers, and here you have a nice cover image, and we have types of flowers as well. So we have 3 albums, and this is done. So this is it for this lecture, and I see you in the next lecture, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hey guys, welcome to lecture number 5. In this section this lecture we're going to upload the photos for the albums. So going to enable the view button on each album, so in this way you can add photos to them. Okay, so here is our view button, and we need to convert it to an A tag with an href. This is not going to be a type button anymore. This is going to be A, and this should be the same thing, right? And then we're going to add the links to the buttons. So let's begin by creating a show function. So in that way we can show the albums, right? So here we are in albums controller, and we're going to create a show method which is going to receive an ID, the ID of the album that we want to show. So here we need to find that album with the find method, but I'm going to add the photos of the album, and then we can call the find method. Okay, let's just return the album to the albums.show view with, of course, the album variable. I'm sorry, I think we don't need the photos of the album on the index, because we only need the cover image, which is in the albums table, but here we need the photos. Great, so we created a show function. Let's create the show view, which is going to be show.play.php. Let's extend the layout. We're using the same layout, of course, and we have the content section. So we created the show view. Now let's create the route for the show method view, of course. So this is going to be a get route, simple get route, and this is going to point to albums slash we need the ID of the album, and this is going to use the show method of the albums controller. I'm going to name it. This is going to be album hyphen show and semicolon. Great. I think we're ready to go. So let's check this out, and let's see. We have album's ID. And yes, we need to add the route here. So this is going to be route album hyphen show, and the way to pass the ID to it is with a comma. So the second parameter would be the route parameter, in this case the album ID. So let's refresh this. I'm going to take this way, and now if you click on inspect, we're going to see that it points to albums /1 and /2 for the second album and /3 for the third album. So this is correctly. And layout.app. So here it's layouts folder, not layout. Great, now we have our page. So let's add a go back button, and for this let's go back to Bootstrap and let's just grab this whole code, which I think is the jumbotron, call to action and secondary action. Yes. And let's paste this into the show content. I'm going to rearrange this as always. Great. And now we have our jumbotron, and here we have our album name. So this is a nice way to do this. And the album description. And here we will have a go back button, okay, and upload button. So this is going to be upload photo, and here we will have go back. Okay, wait, I think it's album name, sorry. Great, and we have our two buttons. So then we'll see where the upload button points to, but we have to upload the photos. So if we want to create an album, this goes to albums create. So if we want to upload a photo, it should goes to photo, photos create, and of course we will have photos store. So this should be photos and photos. Now let's just change the name of the routes. Photo create and photo store, and the controllers as well. And of course, let's just copy all of these methods and paste them into the photos controller and change the albums for photos. And let's just create a new folder just called photos with the new views. So create.blade.php which has nothing to do with the create.plate from albums. Okay, let's just copy the contents. And we need to change the create new album by upload new photo, and this is going to be photo store. We have this CSRF, and let's see the photos fields or columns. So we have album ID, photo, title, size, and description. Of course, the user doesn't need to enter the album ID, right? That's something for us, but of course we need to have a way to recognize which photos are from each album. So that's why we have an album ID field. So here we'll have title, then we'll have description, so this stays as it is. Then we have photo for the file, the actual image, and this is going to be photo. It's an input file, name photo, ID photo. And of course we're not entering the size because it depends on the image, so it has nothing to do with the user input. Now let's see, we have the albums/ID, in this case is 1, so we need to pass that ID to the create method, so in that way we know which images we should get from the database. So we can pass the ID in the upload photo link, right? So in the photos create route, we're going to have another parameter, which is going to be the album ID. And the method should receive the album ID, which is going to be an integer, and you can put this so PHP knows the type of the parameter that the function is getting. And here we'll have album ID, album ID. So we are sending or passing the ID through the pages. Now let's go to the create form, and let's add a hidden variable, which is going to be the album ID, and the value would be album ID. So in this way we can save the photos into that album. So we just need to change the upload and go back. Go back should point to the home, and upload should point to photos create, and we need to pass the album ID. We have album ID. So here we have create/1. Now I have an undefined variable See, we have a name for this route. So instead of passing the photos create, let's just call the route name, which is photo create, with the album ID, right? Just close the parentheses. Let's see how it goes. We have album ID, album ID, album ID, and we have the same error. Let's see, force controller. Oh yeah, here is album ID without the hyphen. Great. We have Eduonix, and if we inspect the code, let's search for the hidden variable. Yes, here is album ID with value of 1. Great, now it's working, and we can send the photo. So this is going to photo store, and let's see the store method. We have title, description, and photo. We need to validate those fields. It will be the same for the image name. Okay, will be the file name with the time and the extension. Now we should change the name of cover image for photo. Photo, and this is going to be saved in public albums, and we're going to use the album ID. Which is in the request as a hidden variable. And once we are in the album ID folder, we can save the photos. Now let's just use the app models photo model, and we can change this by photo. And what we need to save is photo album ID. This is going to be photo title, sorry. Description remains the same. Then we have photo, file name to store, and the size, which we are going to get in this way, in the following way. So request file photo and get size. We return the file size. So let's change the name of the album variable by photo, and this should redirect to albums/id because we are inside an album. And here we have photo uploaded successfully. Okay, let's try this out. Upload photo. We have the go back button. View. Let's upload a new photo. Here we will have McLaren F1, which is a car that I love the most, and you must know that this car held the world record in 1997, and this is it. So let's submit it, and we have an error. Yeah, we've got the album ID field, which we are getting from the request. Okay, so we need to add it in here. Photo album ID is going to be equal to request album ID. Okay, this should work, and photo uploaded successfully. Let's see in the database. Here we have our photo. Okay, the album ID is 2, size and description. So now we're done for this lecture, so I see you on the next lecture, and thank you for watching, guys. Okay guys, so for this lecture we don't have a checklist because this is a very quick and short video. So let's go ahead and open the index.play.php from albums, and let's copy that in the show blade, because here we are showing the album photos. And here we'll have, thanks for the relationship, we'll have album photos, and we can access the album photos, of course. Okay, so now the album photos are stored in storage, albums, album ID, and then we have the image. So now we can change the route by albums/album ID, slash the file name, the photo name, which is going to be photo, and of course the photo variable, and the same in the alt tag attribute. Then we'll have the photo description, the size of the photo, and the title, if I remember correctly. So if we want to see the photo, we should call the photo show route with the ID of the photo as a parameter. And let's put here the size of the photo. Okay, let's try this out. And photo show not defined. Let's see the routes. Okay, we need to create a new route with photos/ID. This should go to the show method of photos and the photo show name. So now we have our car, our photos, our album photos, right? So the photo doesn't look nice. Let's see. Maybe we forgot the container, I think. Yes, because we had a section. So let's wrap the whole thing. Let's see, maybe we don't need the else within the container. Yep. And let's get rid of this, and now we're ready to go. Let's try this again, and here we have our nice photo. So this is a photo from the album Cars, and we can upload another photo of the Ferrari, which is the cover image too, but in this case doesn't matter. So if you must know, this car continues the line of the F40, really nice car too. Oh no, wait, let's just use the Lamborghini Countach because the F50 is used for the cover image. And let's see, yeah, we have the time machine from the Back to the Future. And that's it for this lecture. I see you in the next lecture, lecture number 7, the last lecture, where we are going to see the photo page and how to delete a photo, right? Okay, see you in the next lecture, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Okay guys, welcome to our last lecture of this section. So I'm going to check the first item because we already did it. Okay, so now let's create a route to delete the photo. Okay, great. So this would be route delete, and this will point to photos, and we need to pass the ID of the photo that we want to delete from the database. Okay, and this will point to photos controller and the destroy method, of course. Okay, we don't need this /delete, sorry. Great, now we need to add a show method to the photos controller. So I'm going to copy this from the albums controller and paste it at the bottom. This will be photo, and we need to search for the photo only. So this is find, and we need to return the show view within the photos folder. Okay, there we go. And now let's create the photos, the index, the show view, sorry. So show.plate.php. Let's extend the layout. Create the section, content section, and now we can paste the content. Actually, you know what? We don't need this content, so I'm going to get rid of it. This is the row, and let's add an H3 here for the photo title. Then we'll have a paragraph for the photo description, and another item so this should be the route name will be album show photo album ID. You're getting the ID through the relationship. Now let's add the class of button info. Go back. Then we'll have the image, which will point to storage /albums / the album ID. Yeah, we don't need the dot, and we need the name of the photo. Okay, so it would be /album ID /photo, and let's use this for the alt as well. Now we can change this by album_ID, and it will be the same thing as the photo album ID. because we are getting the album ID from the photos table, and otherwise we are getting the album ID through the album relationship from the photo model. Okay, and finally we'll have the size, which we are getting through photo arrow size. Okay, let's try it out. And here we have our photo. Size is wrong. I don't want it there. And the size of the photo is getting down to the bottom. So let's see. Let's move the size up here. Okay, it's a better place. And for the photo, gonna have a break here, or an HR. Okay, great. Now I have our photo displayed with the go back button. And let's add here a form for the delete button. Okay, so this should point to the delete method, or the delete route, which is I'm going to name it photo delete, photo destroy. So this will point to that route, and of course we need to pass the ID. So this will be photo destroy and the photo ID. And we need to add here the CSRF token, and remember the method to delete the photo, and button, of course. So there should be a submit button with the delete text, and we're going to add the class again of button danger. Let's add a float right class here to pull the delete button to the right. Right. Looks well. And now let's see. We have the delete button, the go back button. Let's see if this works. Great. And what do we have left? Let's see. We have the photo album ID, and we need now to create the delete method. So we created the show view, we added a delete button, and we are creating a show a delete method. So this would receive an ID. So here we have photo equals to photo find the ID, because we need to first find the photo. And before we delete the data from database, let's look for the storage facade, because we need to delete the photo from the disk. Okay, the image file from the disk. For that we need to use the storage facade, which is right here. So let's use this in our model. So let's say if storage double colon delete. So here is the path to the photo. Let's grab this and paste it in this method, we need to remove the double curly braces and add the PHP syntax with the dot concatenation. Great. So if the system can delete the photo, then we can delete the model or the data in database, okay? Once we have deleted the photo and the model, we can redirect the user to the album page because we deleted the photo. We can return the user, redirect the user to the home page. So let's see, here we have the photos stored in the disk, Lamborghini and McLaren. Okay, let's try to delete this. Oh, this is too large. Let's fix this first, okay? We need to go back and see. Let's see, this has 990 pixels of height, so let's limit the image height to that, okay, in the show blade of the photo. So we'll say here width 990 pixels, the width, not the height, okay? Okay, great, that looks great. So let's try the delete button. Force controller destroy does not exist. Destroy. Photos controller, photo destroy. We have the delete function. Destroy. Okay, let's see. Great. So this is not deleting the image, because otherwise we would be redirected to the home page. Let's try this. Let's dt here to this method and see what it returns, okay? So let's comment this out and try this again. Delete. False. So this is not deleting the image, thus it's not deleting the model, thus it's not redirecting us to the home page. So let's see, you have let's remove this slash and try this again. I think this is the problem, maybe. No, it isn't. So let's go back and use the dt again. Okay, let's see. False. Let's try, this is in public folder, right? This is going to search in the public folder. So now it returns true. Now it's deleting the file. It's not there anymore. So this should be public. And oh, now we have the image again. Why is that? Wait, let me see. We deleted the image. It's not there anymore. Why is it showing? I think this is getting from storage. Right, it should be public. Okay, great. And the same in here, which should be public as well in the show blade. Let's see. No, wait, this is wrong. This should be storage. And okay, and this should be public. Let's see. We didn't delete the database register. So the image isn't there anymore, but we have the data in the database. That's because we were debugging it and it deleted the file but not the model. So let's delete it from database. Now it is not there anymore. Let's try with the image again. Okay, now we have the image. This should be storage instead of public here in the show blade, as it were before. Okay, we have the image, and if we delete it, we get redirected to the home page, and now the image is gone. Okay, let's upload flowers here, for example roses, red roses. Submit, and here we have our roses. We can view them, we can delete it, and it's not there anymore. So probably this is it for this lecture, guys, and for this section, the Photogallary website. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I see you in the next section and the rest to see the rest of the course. So thank you very much for watching, as always, guys.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, do give us a thumbs up and share it. Also check out amazing discounts and offers on our premium courses in the description below.